Hi again. Today I'm going to talk about things to think about when you are looking to become a horse owner for the first time, or perhaps not the first time, but you're going to be looking at buying a horse after not having owned a horse for a long time. And I'm actually going to be talking about being like in the Girl Guides. Be prepared, because preparation, like so many things, is the key to success. I get to see a lot of people whose dream it's been to have their own horse, and they've gone out and they've bought said horse, and within a very short time that whole dream has just turned to ashes. And so much of that could be avoided if they had done some fairly simple things thoroughly before they'd actually even bought the horse. And there are three main things that I would like to talk about. None of them are obligatory, but in my experience it can make such a big difference between the horse owner getting the right horse and enjoying the horse once they've got it and not. So without further ado, what are the three things that I recommend people to think about before they buy their horse? One is get into the world. Get well connected in the world of your local horsey people. If you're not well connected there, then I'll tell you how to do that. Secondly, get a bit of education under your belt. Having some riding lessons, going on riding holidays, riding friends' horses, even if you've been doing quite a lot of that, does not mean that equips you for looking after a horse and understanding some of the basics of equine management. And thirdly, make sure that you and your horse have got the right home to live in, because that in itself will make the difference between you having a great time with your horse and having a fairly miserable time with your horse. So, first thing I would recommend anybody to do who is thinking that they are going to buy a horse and they want to buy a horse is get yourself joined to your local riding club. I would say do this even if you have no intentions of competing at all. Or you've no interest in competing. If you join a local riding club, then you are going to be in the way of a lot of people who have horses that you would like to own. That's what it's all about. Let's be honest, we're all pretty much looking for the same thing these days. We're looking for something that's neither too young nor too old. We're looking for something that's been around the block a couple of times, that can walk, trot and canter safely, can go out on its own, go out in a group, will box, shoe, catch, clip, do all of those things without a big fuss. And, you know, is going to convey you safely round whatever level you want to do if you do want to compete. It sounds great, doesn't it? And of course those horses do exist, but they don't often appear on the online horses for sale, because horses like that, everybody wants them, you know, and they tend to go word of mouth. So if you get yourself joined to a local riding club where you are going to see a couple of hundred people every month, month in, month out, with a whole variety of different horses, chances are that one of those horses does come up for sale. Kids going to university, you know, somebody's perhaps lost their job or something's happened that they're going to move away, then that horse is going to you know, they're going to turn around and say, oh, you know, Charlie's for sale. I'm going to go, oh God, oh, I'll let know so and so and so, and that horse will go word of mouth. It just won't ever get advertised, and you'll never get to hear about horses like that unless you are in with that sort of horsey set. And a riding club is a great way of doing that. So my first piece of advice is find out where your local riding clubs are and go and volunteer. They always need help at shows, on show days. They're always looking for people to go on the committee. And I would say get out there and get into that. And it's going to put you in a really good position to, first of all, find the horse that you are looking to get, and secondly, one hopes to find the perfect place for you to keep you and your horse too. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. You might have the idea of buying a horse and keeping it at a yard that you know about that is quite convenient to where you live. It may be the perfect yard. Equally, it might be a yard where you could be really miserable with your horse. If you are on a yard where you're going to be pretty much on your own, or with perhaps one or two people and you may not be down there at the same time, then little things that we all experience when we own horses and are molehills, if handled with help, become mountains. Like, so say you want to catch your horse and your horse doesn't want to be caught. If you are all on your own, that can be a miserable experience. If you've got a couple of people to help you, you can turn it into quite an entertaining one. Your horse might not want to stand still for you to get on. Yes, you have to train your horse to stand still, but if somebody just holds your horse while you get on, it can make life so much easier for you. Somebody to ride out with, somebody just to help you along. The right yard will have a group of people who know that you're a first-time horse owner, and they're very happy to nanny you. These yards are around. They may not look what you are expecting. They might not have the indoor school, or they might have the indoor school and they might be a lot more expensive than you're expecting to pay. They may not do 24/7, 365 days a year turnout. You know, there may be compromises that you have to make. But if the people on that yard are all nice people and they all seem to share the same way of doing things, then you are likely to get the right kind of help, and it can make your horse owning experience wonderful. Whereas being on your own or being on the wrong yard can make it absolutely purgatory. So that's my second piece of advice. And ask around. This is where your riding club comes back. Ask what yards there are, because most yards, they're not on the grid. You know, you won't find them online. You won't find them advertising. They might have 10 horses. They don't advertise. You know, we've had horses on our yard for nigh on 30 years. But everybody who comes to us comes through word of mouth, and that's how we have people coming to us. A lot of yards are like that. If you're not in with the word of mouth crowd, you're never going to find those yards. The third piece of advice I would offer, and I would really say, please think about this, is have some driving lessons before you buy your horse. What do I mean by that? We are unlikely to just buy a car, take our driving test and go out. We are and driving the car. We're going to have some driving lessons. Really consider doing at least your stage 1 British Horse Society. That you don't have to take the exam, but it's going to take you through all the basics of stable management and the basics of riding to a safe level. You don't have to be an expert. That's stage 3 and above. But stage 1, and if you get enthusiastic about it, stage 2. But they are really great way of having driving lessons. I know that the British Horse Society way of doing things is not the only show in town, but it's tried and tested. It's safe, and lots of people do it. A lot of your local riding centres will do a stage 1 British Horse Society or equivalent, and I can't recommend highly enough that if you're thinking about getting out there and buying a horse, you are much more likely to be better prepared if you've got that under your belt. And again, you may well find people who are on that course or who are running the course who might know of the perfect horse for you as well. So that's my 3 pieces of advice for you before you buy your horse: is join a riding club or equivalent, find your yard, and get some driving lessons. Speak to you soon. Bye.